Welcome to Make Money and Make a Difference. We are on day number 3 where we are talking about leverage. And this topic is not for the faint at heart. If you are shy, if you don't want to meet a lot of people, if you don't want to be a big contribution to your whole community, if you're not really wanting to have media exposure or build your resources and relationships and revenue, this ain't for yo. So let's really make sure that we're talking to the right people, because on day 1, now think about the pillars. There is list, liquidate, leverage, leave legacy. So first day we talked about listing and not competing and getting a full commission. And even if you're a nonprofit, you need to know that the reason why the real estate community is going to rally behind you even more than they already do is because they are going to make money to help you. Instead of taking 10% out of their proceeds to give to you, they're actually putting money in their pocket to give you 10 times than they normally do. On day number 2, we talked about the whole liquidation process. Now that these donations are coming in, you are not a landlord, Mr. or Ms. Nonprofit. You are not in the property management business. You're in the business of helping our veterans and our puppies and our children and our environment and all the other wonderful things you do in the world. So we need to liquidate. We need to liquidate these listings as fast as possible. And so as we are doing that, now on day number 3, we are stepping into how to leverage these listings that we are taking. So Jennifer, can you mute people as they come in, please? For those of us who are watching the replay, we had some technical difficulties today with Facebook Live, so we are doing a straight up Zoom. So please make sure that you have your happy, fun, handy dandy workbook, How to Make Money, Make a Difference, Discover the Secret Real Estate Niche that is funding nonprofits by the billions. And today you will want to turn to day number 3, leverage. More listings, more exposure, more referrals, oh my. So the very first line, now keep in mind that the blank lines are for you to fill in so that you are staying up with what we're talking about here. Line number 1, how to have blank turn into 3, 10, or 20. Well, you can add right into that blank line, one deal. How to have one deal turn into 3, or 10, or 20, or 100. That one deal, that one donation, that one listing, that one generous, heart-centered, beautiful human being that is wanting to help your nonprofit or is wanting to get those tax benefits, et cetera, all of those people, when they see what we are doing with these properties in sorry, unmuted myself, and you have your for sale sign in the yard, just like you have 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times for the last 10 years, you got your for sale sign in the yard. But this time, there's a little sign right next to it, or maybe a big sign right next to it. And that big sign says, 100% of the proceeds from the sale of this property go to benefit nonprofits worldwide. A percentage of the proceeds from this property go to benefit Habitat for Humanity and our local veteran group, maybe with their logos on those signs. In other words, this is a whole different level of cause marketing. This is a whole different level of showing up as a contribution. This is a whole different level of unique conversation. So that little sign is next to your regular for sale sign. Oh, and it is just that time of day when that neighborhood that your listing is in, all the traffic is going by. People are out walking their dog. The cars are coming in from work, and there's just a lot of activity going on in that neighborhood. And not only is your sign in that yard, but there is a van outside, a really bright van that has the logo of your local TV station on it. And there's the cameraman from our local TV station. Oh, and there is the anchor person that we all know so well from the local TV station. And they've got a big microphone, and they're standing next to your sign, and they're standing next to you, next to your sign. And maybe even the nonprofit is smart enough to get in on the media, and maybe they're standing there too. And now that person is interviewing you, asking you. Now, from what we understand, Habitat for Humanity is actually going to get a $300,000 check from the sale of this property. How is that happening? And you're being interviewed. Now, see, there are tons of agents out there who have spent years farming that neighborhood. They've spent thousands of dollars on postcards and pop buys. They're going to be dropping the little pumpkins off on the doorstep now that it's Halloween time. They're leaving the little bags on the doorknob looking for donations of canned vegetables for the local soup kitchen now that it's Thanksgiving time. But you, in one fell swoop, show up and get interviewed by the local TV station, because you're not just donating 100 cans of food. You're not just giving $100 from your commission check. That whole property, all of the proceeds is going to nonprofits. And that, my friend, is a story that people want to hear. That is PR you cannot pay for. When I was on HGTV House Hunters and I was able to promote that, you can't pay for that kind of PR. You know, buying an ad for $500 or $5,000 or spending $10,000 on flyers and all that, you can't pay for the kind of PR that you get from a story that people are interested in. So now all those people walking their dogs and driving by and all the photos and all that, imagine that other nonprofits in the area see that interview and they start to reach out to you. Hey, can you help our nonprofit too? And all of those people who've been getting the pumpkins and the pop buys and the postcards, they aren't going to donate their house. Not everybody can donate their house or their extra condo or their strip mall to a nonprofit. But when they see that you are that creative, that innovative, that heart-centered, that big of a contribution to the world, they're going to start reaching out to you, because instead of hiring somebody for the pumpkins on their doorstep, they're going to want to hire you because of the contribution you're making to the world. So when we talk about turning one donation, one deal, one transaction, one listing into 3, 10, 20, really expand your mind when people say, well, who would donate real estate? Well, just one could turn into a dozen others that aren't donating, but that are listing and that want to work with you. Imagine also at that closing table from that donation, there's a realtor on the other side of the table. And now the media is outside of the title company and they're waiting for the closing because they want to get a picture of you handing that $300,000 check over to Habitat for Humanity. And it's all buzzing and everybody knows and everybody's expecting it. And you're going to be putting the photos on Facebook, etc. See, that realtor on the other side of the table is going to say to you, what's the deal? What's the hubbub? How are you giving that much money to Habitat for Humanity? You know, last year I volunteered at their committee meeting. We had board meetings for 3 months putting together a fundraiser, and it got canceled due to COVID. So we weren't able to raise any money, but you're giving them a check for $300,000? You know, I actually do a little something over at the food pantry. I do something at my church. I do something for the animals. Can you help us? Can you help us get that kind of money? and you say, yes, I can. See, imagine that you start getting referrals, introductions, deals, listings, relationships because of being creative with your marketing, because you have a strategist who not only thinks outside the box, but doesn't even see a box. Doesn't even like a box. Where? What? Huh? Because we are creating our own network, which actually leads me to number 2. So if you're just popping on with us, make sure that you have your workbook because you want to follow along and be taking notes. If you have this workbook and you're filling in the blanks, you should be writing frantically with what we're talking about today. Number 2, blank line instead of network. Now, I have to tell you, I wrote the book. I literally wrote the book on networking, Mingle to Millions, The Art and Science of Building Business Relationships. And I talk about the difference between networking and netwebbing, which is not the word, but I'll tell you what it is in a minute. Now that I'm talking about it, let's have this fun analogy very quickly. Networking. You go to Chamber of Commerce meeting, you get on a Zoom, you go to a Halloween party, you are anywhere that you are normally networking. You meet the same people over and over. Let's see if you recognize these archetypes, shall we? First kind is the one who's given a card to everyone. Here's my card. Here's my card. If it's on Zoom, maybe they're wanting to send you their e-card. Whether it's a physical card or an e-card, they're cramming their contact information down your throat. Here's my card, here's my card. They walk up to the circle of people or they go into the private group on Zoom. Hey, here's my card, here's my card. They're spraying and praying that something will happen with those cards. They're actually rather repelling. Those are the skunks. Repelling sprayers and prayers. And then there are the people who want your card. Hey, got a card? Let me get your card. Let me grab that card. If they're at a physical event, they go around every table and they grab a card. If they're on the Zoom, they're screenshotting and grabbing they leave with a stack of cards and contact information that they squirrel away to put you on their boring email list. Those are the squirrels. Then, dun, 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 dun. Hey, try my product, join my company, sign my contract, meet with me for coffee. Those are obviously the sharks. So if we don't want to be a skunk, a squirrel, or a shark, and I know because I've been all 3 in one night. Way back 20 years ago when I first got into real estate, and every networking event that I went to had 3 or 5 or 8 or 12 realtors in the room. Every one of those events, I was handing my card to everybody. I was grabbing a card from everybody. I was assertively, aggressively sharking the room. So if we don't want to be all of that, here's a fun little suggestion and scenario. Think about what a spider does. A spider puts connections and connecting people and resources and relationships. And as the connections are made, spider makes a net web. And a spider doesn't chase or aggressively, assertively go after its prey. It sits back with its net web and waits for that which it wants to come to it. It's strategic. It's savvy. It thinks things through. And it puts itself in a position where all that it wants comes to it. So in my book, when I talk about net webbing versus networking, that's the analogy. And by the way, yesterday we talked about the Charitable Gifting and Real Estate Bootcamp 101. About halfway through the call yesterday, I went through the whole process of what that's about. And for those of you who signed up for the bootcamp already, you'll be getting a copy of my book, autographed and signed and mailed to you. I need to get your addresses. But if you want a copy, being a part of the bootcamp, I'll send you one. So the line on number 2, instead of networking, instead of even net webbing, let's call it net wealthing. Net wealth. Net wealth instead of network. In other words, when you are talking about charitable gifting of real estate, the people who donate real estate are the ones that are beautiful inside, that want to help the veterans. They want to give pure, clean drinking water to the masses. They want to save women and children and men from domestic violence. They want to be a contribution to the world. And a large majority of them are wealthy, high net worth. They have multiple properties, lots of properties. It could be someone that you already know that really only has one property. All they have is their primary residence. And that might be that they are actually wanting to leave it to the church when they pass away. But you can actually, as the charitable gifting of real estate specialist, teach them, show them, inform them, and the nonprofit how that if they do it the way that we do it, the government doesn't get a big 20-30% chunk of that property before it goes to the nonprofit. In other words, this is a very creative way of creating different relationships and getting invited into centers of influence with high net worth people. Think about the elite groups, the country club, the investor groups, the ones that there's someone in your marketplace that has that neighborhood all sewn up. There's someone in your marketplace that has been a real estate agent for 30 years, and that's just who that neighborhood or that club uses as their realtor. And you show up with a new strategy. Not a new strategy, one that's been around for 100 years, but now you're educated about it. And you know something that that 30-year veteran realtor has no clue about. And that the high net worth people in your marketplace have never been privy to, because the nonprofits that they love have already told them, nope, sorry, Mary, we don't take real estate. Nope, sorry, Jane, that's not part of our policy. Nope, Bob, can't do that. That's not what we do. But now those nonprofits can benefit from these transactions. And I guarantee you that there are nonprofits around you, because I've talked to them. I've talked to a lot of people about this in the last 9 months. There are nonprofits whose phone rings every week with high net worth people wanting to donate property. But for the last 10, 20 years, they've been saying, nope, no, thank you. We don't take property. Go sell it and we'll take the cash. No, we don't take property, right? So there are people all around you who are wanting to do this. And when you are on that newscast, when you are letting your tribe know, when you are informing the 500 or the 1,000 or the 50,000 followers and donors from that nonprofit, when you let them know that we have bridged the gap and we can actually benefit the nonprofit from real estate, you're going to be the go-to person. Number 3, what if I'm so happy, I am so hopeful, I am so glad that this has come about when it has, because this is time sensitive. You know, here we are, the last quarter of the year. This is so urgent. This is so time sensitive. There are people that you know that will donate a property in the next 90 days, in the next 3 months, just because you show them how they can get the tax write-off in 2020 as opposed to 2021. We can't assume we know what everybody out there is doing and what they need. There's a lot of people who are planning their estate planning right now. And when they know that you can help them with this and their estate planning, and they need it for 2020, they'll donate that property now, because it doesn't matter if it sells next year or not. They can take the tax donation this year. How all that works? Well, we talk about all that over in the boot camp, CamiBaker.com/boot camp. But don't go over there right now. Stay with me, because there's a lot of information here. So number 3, what if the blank actually gave you lots of referrals? Now, some of you are going to say, well, these people already give me referrals. You don't know who I am. Like, they already do. Not like they will with this. So what if the vendors, what if the businesses and companies that you and all the other real estate agents in the area are already doing business with give you business from this? So, for example, you know dozens of mortgage people, title companies, home inspectors, home stagers, landscapers, roofers, reverse mortgage people, real estate wholesaler investors, et cetera, et cetera. Let's just talk about mortgage and title for a moment, because having had 15 years of experience in real estate and being one of the top listers in my area, because I was taught, like, it wasn't anything I was smart enough to figure out. I was taught listers last. And I was taught how to go get 8, 10, 15 listings so that I could take my daughter to the beach for the weekend and let the buyer's agents go out and show the properties and bring me an offer. Somebody else taught me all of that. But while I was doing all those listings, I met tons of mortgage people and title companies, and they're all wanting to take me to lunch, and they're all wanting our business, right? But how often did they really give us a deal? I mean, that one mortgage person. Now, if you're a buyer's agent and you're working with a mortgage person who is helping, first-time home buyers clean up their credit, when they finally get them qualified, they dangle you a carrot. Well, that happens. But overall, that mortgage person knows 100 realtors, 500 realtors that he or she is schmoozing and taking to lunch and trying to win the business of and making promises to. And overall, typically, you're not getting much business from them. If you got 3 deals a year from the mortgage and the title and the home inspectors, et cetera, I'd be really surprised, especially considered how much you gave them. But when we are talking about the charitable gifting of real estate, this opens up a whole different conversation, a whole different positioning for you, because every one of those companies and individuals has something they are passionate about. Whether it's their mortgage company is wanting to do cause marketing because they know that 87% of consumers will choose them over the other mortgage companies when they are known to be doing something for the veterans and the puppies and the kids and the environment and all that stuff. So in other words, whether it's a business decision that they come to you and say, hey, what's that charitable gifting of real estate thing? How can we partner on something to let the whole, like, I saw you get interviewed and there's a $300,000 check that went to Habitat for Humanity. How can we get in on that PR? How can we help spread the word about that and put our logo on that flyer or on that sign, et cetera, et cetera? So it might be a business thing for them. It might be that home stager, it might be that her mother died of breast cancer and she is really passionate about breast cancer, and you've gone with her and volunteered before. Every time they do a fundraiser, she's hitting you up for a $25 raffle basket or gift card or something. Think about that. All these people over the years who've been hitting you up, wanting you to go and sponsor an open house or this, that, and the other thing. Like, now you can not hit them up, not convince or sell them on something, inform them that instead of trying to nickel and dime and sell a $25 ticket or sell raffle tickets for $5 or come sit with you on a board for 3 to 6 months to put together an event that may or may not happen anyway, instead of all that, one property donated could actually benefit 2 or 3 or 10 nonprofits in your area. So see, these vendors are going to look at you differently, are going to want to refer you to their nonprofits. They're going to want to refer you to their management and their company owners because they want to get in on the good news of how they can build their business around something like this, etc., etc. So the vendors are a great place to get business where they never would have given business before. Number 4, and I've already delved into this a little bit, but imagine having blank exposure highlighting you as blank in your community. So imagine having that media exposure highlighting you as the hero in your community. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, this is not for the faint at heart. If you are afraid to get on the phone with me or Jennifer and talk about how to have the unfair advantage in your marketplace, if you don't want to do videos, if your headshot is 10 years old because you've gained a little weight or your hair's gotten a little thin and you just don't really want to update your photo, if you are not the person who is ready to step in, step up, step out, and be seen and be heard and be the hero. Be the hero for your family. Like instead of being the same typical real estate agent that little Billy and little Bobby and little Mary's mom's realtor too, why don't you, when my daughter, when she was, I got my license when she was about 3, I think. And soon after, within a year or so, I bought that 64.5 Mustang convertible. And by the time she was in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, I had that really cool car. And that car led me to all those car shows and parades. And with the car shows that I did, we gave the money to the Live and Let Live farm. That's how I learned about all this. Just by sheer accident and guerrilla marketing, I thought, all the cars at my show, there's 50 cars here. They're all trying to give us $20. That's $1,000. And I've already paid for the trophies. I'm doing this to meet people and get exposure. I don't need $1,000, but there's a lot of places that do. And I found the Live and Let Live farm. And from there on, every time we did that parade, or excuse me, that car show, we gave them the money. I've got photos of me with the Live and Let Live farm. Now, mind you, this was a place that rescued hundreds of horses a year, thousands and thousands. They've been there for 30 years. So they would come to our car show, this huge big banner, and I'd get out and help them walk the banner. And for a couple of years, they had a little baby, a little donkey, a little tiny little guy. He was a little crippled. And they had him on his little leash and they'd walk the donkey around and all the kids would go gaga and go pet the donkey and all that fun stuff. So my daughter was a big part of me and my business because we were bringing cause marketing and doing the right thing and helping out and being seen and being heard into my business, into my life, into her growing up. We would go down to the soup kitchen for Thanksgiving for 4 years in a row. When she was 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there, we went down to the soup kitchen every Thanksgiving. Now, truth be told, I didn't really want to go to her father's side of the family to hang out with them because it just wasn't my bag. I'd rather go spend time with a bunch of strangers at the soup kitchen cutting potatoes. but it gave us a time to bond and create memories. And to this day, when I'm with my daughter, she's 21 now. And about a year ago, we're cruising along in my car and we get up to the stop sign. And you know how, God bless them, there's a homeless person on just about every corner now with a sign for food, right? And I've always got extra granola bars and little fruit cups in my car. I eat them, and I've just always got extra, especially because there's always somebody at the corner. And I've handed out hundreds of them. So we're talking, the homeless person is there. I grab some food and hand it to him. And I say to her, I say, you know, I've always got extra granola bars. I'm always get, and she said, I know, Mom. I tell my friends all the time. My mom and I used to go and help out at the soup kitchen, and she's always got granola bars and fruit cups in her car to give out. And it almost makes me want to cry now just thinking about that, because she said it so, you know, pithy, off the cuff. But the fact is, she remembers all that. And she tells people about it, and it meant something to her. So, you know, when we're talking about, imagine having media exposure, highlighting you as the hero, are you showing up as the hero? Maybe you don't want to be superhero, Spider-Man, Batman, Catwoman kind of hero, but does your family see you doing all these wonderful things? And look, I get it. People say, well, I want to be anonymous. Like, I don't want to brag. I don't want to boast. Like, it's anonymous. I just, you know, I'll slide the check. I'll bring a couple of coats to the coat drive. I don't want to make a big deal about it. And I've been hearing that for years. And here's the thing. I have done dozens of coat drives. I've done bra drives where we gathered up 1,000 bras for one place that promoted breast cancer, et cetera. Blankets, food, you name it. And my response to that is, I've only got 3 coats in my closet, and my office, maybe with 10 people, can gather up 30 or 40 coats. But if we don't let people know, if we don't go on social media and say, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we're looking for, this is how you can participate, then we can't gather up the 300 or the 3,000 coats and blankets and hats and things for people. So media exposure isn't just about, as a matter of fact, it's not even about tooting your own horn or, hey, look at me. It's about inspiring others to do stuff. I can't tell you how many times over the last 10 years or so, I get a message on Facebook, Cami, that bra drive you did inspired me so much. We're doing one here in California. I had some people out in Phoenix that did one, down in Florida. Like, the exposure isn't just about you. It's about how much of an impact can you have? How much of an influence do you have? And when you want to make money and make a difference, getting free exposure is a beautiful thing. You can go out and pay for ads and pay for Facebook. You know, that's why, one of the reasons why this is so different. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about, what does it really look like for you to have the unfair advantage? The unfair advantage in your marketplace. When you have the unfair advantage in your marketplace and you are making 10 times as much, when you double your profit and give 10 times as much to the nonprofits that you love without taking money out of your pocket and actually putting money in your pocket, when you have the ability to get more business from those vendors, from other realtors, it's a whole different way of showing up. So, points to ponder. How would it feel to be featured on your local news as the Certified Charitable Gifting of Real Estate Specialist, CCGRES, soon to be a designation for realtors to put on their little pen and on their little business card? Homeowners around your CGRE listing wanting to list with you because of the publicity, other nonprofits reaching out to you to ask if you can help them too. The people you know giving you shout outs on social media. Hey, I saw you on the news with the veterans group. How are you giving them all that money? Can you help my church? And you say, yes, I can. So in the home play, who are 3 people or groups or industries that you would love to do business with? So really start to think big. You may already be making $500,000, $1 million, $10 million a year in commissions. If you're in this group and paying attention to what we're doing, you are seasoned and already successful. You already make money. You already make a difference. This is about bringing them together and also Even if you're already taking $10 million listings, wouldn't it be nice to take more of them? Wouldn't it be nice if just one of those $10 million listings, if all of the proceeds went to nonprofit, how many people could get fed? How many animals could get saved? How many houses could get built, et cetera, by a donation like that? So when I say, who are three? Just come up. Who's the first one? In the comments, write this in the comments. Who's the one person, industry, or group that you know, if you were to create a relationship, build some rapport, have a unique selling proposition, a unique conversation with them, it would transform your business? For example, what if you had the ability to go speak at your local Rotary Club? Like, do you have some places have Rotary clubs with 4 people with 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the grave. Some people have Rotaries with 400 people that show up every month. What if you were going into that Rotary group to share with them in a 10-minute talk the beautiful benefits of charitable gifting of real estate, and how when property is donated, the Rotary would have that $50,000, $100,000, $5 million that they could disperse? What would that do for your business? What would that do for your legacy? What would that do for the nonprofits that the Rotary is helping? So when we talk about who are the 3 people, who is that one person at the RIA group, Real Estate Investor Association? Who's that one guy or gal that you've seen that has over 100 doors, apartments, houses, buildings? You'd just love to be able to have a conversation with that person, whether you're helping them buy stuff, whether you're helping them sell stuff, et cetera, et cetera. What if you could talk to them about something that nobody else has any knowledge about? It may not be that she is going to donate a property. She may not be there in her life yet. But what if that opened up a conversation that led to other resources and relationships and revenue from that conversation? What if you told her about charitable gifting of real estate and she said, well, I'm 38. I'm not really doing any estate planning right now as far as disbursement of capital and funds. I'm actually just acquiring. But my father, who's 82, has actually got enough property to choke a horse, and he needs to know about this. Like, you don't know because you've never had that conversation with her or anybody else. So really be thinking about the industries, the individuals. Action steps. Look, engage with the group. Post it in the group. You want to meet John Smith from Capital One? You want to meet Bill Ingram from, that runs Remax International? Like, whoever it is that you're wanting to meet. Or maybe you say, well, I want to meet presidents of the Women's Council of Realtors. I would love to meet the presidents of the Women's Council of Realtors in your area and all around. Who can you introduce me to that could lead me to the Women's Council of Realtors? Because if anybody should be charitable gifting of real estate specialists, it's those ladies. So if we are not asking, we are not getting. And when you post in the group about who you're looking to be introduced to, you might actually get an introduction. So tomorrow, list, liquidate, leverage, leave legacy. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about how you are leveraging this to leave legacy. You can donate 10%. You can donate $100,000 a year. You can volunteer your ass off. You can sit on as many board meetings as you want and take the next 20 or 30 years to leave a legacy. Or in the next 6 to 12 months, you could leave 10 times all of that through the charitable gifting of real estate. In the next 6 to 12 months, you could meet people in industries and speak at groups and be the expert and the go-to person for 10, 50, 100 nonprofits in your area. Here's the thing. If it's not you, it will be somebody in your area, because this is pretty damn good. Like, the charitable gifting of real estate is happening by 8 billion a year. You're just not part of it. And the people around you, the other agents in your area, they're not part of it yet. But the first one in your area is going to have first movers advantage. And over the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, there'll be all kinds of systems like this that can help bridge the gap and blah, blah, blah. But they're not there now. And your competition can be your collaborators. You can knock them out of the competition. You can be the first one, so that you're leaving a legacy, not just for you, but think about all the business people in your area, the local car dealership, the local insurance company, that title company, that mortgage company, that estate planning attorney that you've been wanting to build business with, the financial service people who are all wanting to take you to lunch that you'd like to get business from, even the local dog walker and coffee shop. Imagine having a way to partner and promote. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about the 7 P's that take you from purpose to payoff. There's your purpose. Why are you even bothering to watch this and learn about charitable gifting of real estate? There's their purpose, whoever it is you're having a conversation with about this, whether it's other partners or nonprofits or your clients and customers. There's your presence. How are you showing up? What is your presence when you go out networking, or you do a Facebook Live, or you do some kind of a post, or you're getting interviewed in the yard? What's your presence? Purpose, presence, positioning. What's your positioning in the marketplace? Partnering. Who are you partnering with? Promoting. How are you all promoting together that you are participating in the charitable gifting of real estate? And all that being said, the payoff: influence, impact, income, inspiration. So between now and tomorrow, be thinking to yourself, what legacy do you want to leave? Who would you like to be influencing? Kids? More volunteers? Other realtors? Women to step into their own power? Veterans to start their own businesses? See, you can have a bigger influence that creates a bigger impact. You can give $100 per closing, and you can go sit on a board meeting, and you can participate and volunteer and flag cars in at the car show. Or you can step into being the hero and having the unfair advantage. Share this video and this group with the title companies, the mortgage companies, the realtors, the visionary nonprofits. There's 1.6 million nonprofits in this country, and there's 2 million realtors, almost kind of even. We only want 1%. 1% of the realtors is 20,000. 1% of the nonprofits is 16,000. We only want the visionary, the forward thinking, the positive, the go-getters, the ones who are looking for solutions, the ones that celebrate your success, the ones that want to collaborate and partner with you so that we can promote and have those payoffs. See you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern as we continue on with legacy. And on Friday, you get introduced to the specialized nonprofit that I've been talking about. You're going to love them. See you then.